I was really ambitious going to buy a property in rent control. I bought this property, go right into the pandemic, so there's rent increase freeze, there's that rent forgiveness and moratorium. Luckily for me, I didn't have any issues with collecting rent every month, but I'm going to tell you, I'm never ever going to buy property in Los Angeles again unless it's not under rent control. Like a single family home wouldn't be under rent control, or if it's newer where it doesn't fall under that umbrella. First of all, the rules are not there to protect the landlords. I've spoken with so many attorneys, they're like, well, technically the rule is that they'll say something like the tenants can't do this, so if you want to go after them, you got to take it to court. Those tenants get free attorneys from the city housing, and it's up to the judge to decide if they're going to acknowledge your complaint or not. And they have told me that more than 50% of the time, just because you're right doesn't mean that you're going to win in court. The building that I bought was very old, and I just couldn't fix it without demoing it, and it was just too expensive. We had 3 buildings. One of them was built in the late 1800s. Some of them was early 1900s. There was the front building kept having a rodent issue because we couldn't seal it up. It had a basement, and they were big. They were really big because a couple of times the tenants would say, I think there's a raccoon in our attic. So that was an issue. I couldn't increase rent. I had one tenant that had 8 people in there, 3 generations. It was a 1-bedroom. They were paying just shy of $900, and we were covering all their utilities except for electrical. We weren't making any money. I wasn't compensated for some of the renovations that I did, even though there's a program for that within housing. If you want to file for anything, there's paperwork for everything that you have to do. Trying to navigate through that site is just impossible. You really have to make note of which section to look under, what the actual name is. If you try calling there's so many departments. You'll have to leave a message. They'll tell you to call this person. You'll call that line. They're not in. Leave a message. 2 days later, they call you back. You talk to that person. They'll say it's not this department, it's that department. So it was just exhausting. I mean, I lost so much sleep over trying to get things to be done properly. It was just tiring. I learned a lot, spent way too much money. We decided to sell when the market was still doing relatively well and shifting, and we're going to reinvest, and I'm never going to buy in LA again.